Once upon a time, in a small village near the forest, there lived a sweet little girl who was loved by everyone, especially her grandmother. The girl always wore a bright red hooded cloak, so everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. "My dear, your grandmother is feeling unwell. Please take this basket of bread, butter, and honey to her, but remember to stay on the path and not talk to strangers," said her mother. "Yes, mother, I will go straight there and be careful," said Little Red Riding Hood. The little girl set off happily, humming a tune as she walked through the woods. But soon she met a sly and cunning wolf. "Good morning, little girl. Where are you off to on this fine day?" asked the wolf, grinning. "I'm going to visit my grandmother. She lives in the cottage just beyond the woods," said Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf, being very crafty, quickly hatched a plan. He spoke sweetly to the girl. "What a lovely idea! And what do you have in your basket?" asked the wolf. "Some bread, butter, and honey for my grandmother," answered Little Red Riding Hood. "How thoughtful! Why not pick some flowers along the way? They will surely brighten her day," suggested the wolf. The little girl thought this was a wonderful idea and wandered off the path to gather flowers. Meanwhile, the wicked wolf hurried to the grandmother's cottage. He knocked on the door. "Who is it?" asked the grandmother weakly. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood. I brought you some goodies," said the wolf, disguising his voice. The kind old woman unlocked the door, and in an instant the wolf leaped inside. He swallowed her whole, then dressed in her nightgown and cap, lying in bed to wait for Little Red Riding Hood. Soon the little girl arrived at the cottage, carrying her basket and the flowers she had picked. She knocked on the door. "Grandmother, may I come in?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "Come in, dear," said the wolf, imitating the grandmother. As she stepped inside, something felt different. She approached the bed and noticed something unusual. "Grandmother, what big ears you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," replied the wolf. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big hands you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hug you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood nervously. "All the better to eat you with," growled the wolf. The wolf jumped out of bed and lunged at Little Red Riding Hood. Just as he was about to catch her, a nearby hunter heard her screams and rushed into the cottage. "Stop right there, you wicked wolf!" shouted the hunter. The hunter aimed his rifle and scared the wolf so much that he coughed up the grandmother. Together they chased the wolf away, never to be seen again. "Oh, my dear child, what a frightful adventure!" said the grandmother, relieved. "I will never stray from the path again, grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood always listened to her mother's advice, and she never spoke to strangers again. And so she and her grandmother lived happily and safely ever after.